the ANC's Executive Committee is expected to decide what to do about former President Jacob Zuma when it meets this weekend. Zuma has declared his support for Mkhonto WeSizwe party. For more on this, let's now speak to SABC News Reporter Samkele, who's joining us from Boksburg. Samkele, good afternoon. Thank you so much for making time for us. I thought that the chairperson of the ANC had said that the matter of former President Jacob Zuma will only be dealt with after the elections because they don't want to be derailed from their election campaign.
Aldrin, what we do know is that the National Executive Committee will receive a report from the National Working Committee of the party, which will encompass the formation of Mkhonto WeSizwe and also the support that it's now receiving from the former ANC President Jacob Zuma, where the National Working Committee will hand over that particular report by the Secretary General to the National Executive Committee of the ANC. They will deliberate on this specific issue, but today they have a jam-packed agenda as they will also break at about 1 o'clock in order for the judgment of the International Court of Justice to be delivered. There will be a public viewing area where ANC NEC members and the President of the country and of the ANC will be viewing that particular judgment, where we'll also get an opportunity to view it with them. Then they will go back and further deliberate on that particular report of the National Working Committee of the ANC, which will further deliberate on the issues of the formation of Mkhonto WeSizwe, its support that it's receiving from former President Jacob Zuma. Then the NEC will decide on the way forward on how to tackle this particular issue. Eldon, I'm also just waiting for the ANC spokesperson Mkhonto to further ventilate these issues with us. She's about 40 seconds away.
Yeah, just quickly then speak to us about this particular meeting. What else is on the agenda, and if it would give us any indication about what the President is expected to speak about during the State of the Nation address within 2 weeks.
It will give us an indication of what the President will speak about at the State of the Nation address, particularly when you look at the 30-year review that the government has embarked on and what they've achieved, what they've not achieved. You also saw that at the ANC's January 8 statement, where the President of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, delivering that January 8 statement, said that the State of the Nation address will pretty much encompass what they've achieved in government over the past 30 years, what they've not been able to achieve, and that will further be ventilated in the ANC NEC Lekgotla that will take place. That will start on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, because the NEC is today, tomorrow, then the Lekgotla starts on Sunday. But I'm going to bring in the ANC spokesperson, Ms. Mkhonto. Ms. Mutsiri, just the essence of the NEC meeting, what's transpiring, what's your agenda looking like for today, and what are some of the key points that South Africans can look at that you'll be deliberating upon?
I think this is going to be one of the yet profound meetings in many respects. Firstly, we are looking into our geopolitical environment today with the International Court of Justice making a pronouncement on South Africa's charges laid by South Africa. And so we are looking forward to that court outcome at 2 p.m. So we will be looking at that and commenting on that immediately after that through our own number one messenger, President Cyril Ramaphosa, speaking firstly in his capacity as government, and we'll listen to that when he speaks and addresses the nation, and the ANC will respond immediately after that. That will be the first thing. The second one of the things we're looking at this weekend are the reports regarding ethics and integrity management in the organization. And we're going to be looking at some of the reports coming out in the terms of reference of this revamped Integrity Commission of the ANC and how that work ought to be enhanced, particularly linked to giving hope to South Africans about measures that the ANC has put in place, both the ANC as a party, but also the ANC as a governing party, to combat acts of corruption. And so that is the second aspect that I would like to speak to. The third aspect would be matters concerning service delivery. So this year's Lekgotla is going to be focused a lot on what it is that we have done and what it is that we need to ramp up in accelerating the delivery of basic services to the people of South Africa.
So in essence, you are saying that the president of the country will be viewing as president of the ANC here, then ultimately he may address the nation as president of the Republic of South Africa once that particular judgment is delivered, breaking away from ANC and going into his government capacity.
It is not my mandate to talk about matters of state. But I would imagine that given the fact that it is the government of South Africa that went to The Hague, surely there will be something like that. But I'm sure Mr. Vincent Magwenya can give you a better insight on how the president intends to respond. But we do anticipate that response, and we are ready. We already have our own holding statement to respond to that. Whether the outcome is positive or whether the outcome is negative, we do believe that South Africa has done the most for humanity, not just for the people of Palestine, by going to the International Court of Justice.
As the African National Congress, are you pleased with the presentations and the heads of arguments that were presented by South Africa's legal team at the International Court of Justice? And are you looking at a favorable outcome, looking at how going back to 1994, 1995, with the Rwanda genocide, with the killing of the Tutsis, that the ANC was largely silent on this particular matter due to the preparations of the 1994 general elections within the country? You also go fast forward to the speeches that were delivered by former President Mandela, former President Mbeki, when he was speaking in Rwanda on the commemoration of that particular genocide, saying that the world was quiet at large, the United Nations did nothing, whilst people were being killed.
No, absolutely. I mean, back to your first question, Samkele, we're absolutely satisfied, more than satisfied, with how our team deported themselves at The Hague. There is no question about it. Where's the evidence? The evidence is in the form of messages of support that we've received from far and wide across the world, hailing South Africa for the stance that it has taken. Surely, even legal minds have said that you've put, across a very strong argument, and we ourselves are satisfied just on the basis of the high standards that we should be having. So that would be the one thing. The second thing is that, this the thing to liberate the people of Palestine is a massive ocean now across the world, and we count ourselves lucky for the fact that. We had our forebears in the form of Nelson Mandela and others who actually, when the world was quiet and mute about it, but saw the need to actually pick up the struggle. And we're just walking on those footsteps.
When you look at the International Court of Justice, if you look at the 1960s, they had taken a particular judgment at that point in time that was not favorable to the oppressed people of the world in that specific country who were being killed. And no one went to this International Court of Justice for a period of about 30, 40 years. If they were to take an adverse finding against South Africa at this particular juncture, and that would mean sanctioning, per se, the killing of innocent people in the Gaza Strip, what effect would this have on the International Court of Justice and international law, which is practically on trial at this point in time?
Well, I will defer to the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Comrade Naledi Pandor, on that matter. For our part, as the governing party, as the ANC, as a liberation movement, and the oldest liberation movement on the continent, it would obviously say a lot about whether multilateral institutions are working for greater humanity. At the same time, though, we have to respect decisions of the courts. We are the ones that said that the rule of law, wherever we need to engage with it, here domestically as well as in a geopolitical sense, must be observed. So, it is a balancing conversation. But obviously, we would go back to the drawing board, assess, develop a perspective, and on the ground we are not stopping. Regardless of what we've done in taking this matter to the ICJ, the ANC is on the ground, joined by various faith-based communities in South Africa, Friends of Palestine, across the world, joining the global struggle against the oppression in Palestine. So, the biggest battles are won on the ground anyway, Samkele.
Last question. Issue of the formation of MK and your former president. is that encompassed in the National Working Committee report that will be tabled to the NEC to deliberate on the formation of this political party and the endorsement that it's received from your former head of state and former head of the party?
Yes, it is. It is. But I would say that it's a by the by. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. We have a lot of issues to deal with. How to serve our people better, how to position our elections campaign, and how to deal with stubborn challenges that we continue to face as South Africa reflected in poverty, unemployment, inequality. How to make sure that we win the election with an outright majority as the African National Congress. It will obviously feature in the report that will be presented by the Secretary General on behalf of the National Working Committee. But as I say, it is a by the by.
So it's just a by the way as a fly just passing by?
Not so much as a flight just passing by, but so much as a matter that is not really concerning us to the extent that South Africa expects us to be concerned by the formation of the so-called MK party, whose trademark belongs to the African National Congress, a matter that we've taken to the court to protect our trademark, and we are waiting for that court outcome. Our court papers are already there for the public to know about. I'm sure yourselves as members of the media have sight of those court papers. We've taken the matter to the electoral court. We're also taking the matter organizationally and politically by focusing on sending a clear message to our people on the ground, particularly the real members of Mkhonto WeSizwe.
Dr. Zwelin Mkhize, an NEC member, seems to have a different view to what transpired over the weekend in KZN, where you had the provincial leadership and some NEC members, namely Senzo Mchunu, Begicele, going and Begimtolo and also Siboniso Duma, basically besmirching the former president. He saying in isiZulu, I don't angiboni kuyinto enhle ukuhamba sibheca amagama abantu sibaneka nje edlangalaleni, speaking about essentially MK and former President Jacob Zuma. Do you sense that there are some in the party who may be more softer on the former president, and some like Begim Tolo who may be taking a hardline stance in saying that the former president has left and basically throwing out his dirty linen in public?
Well, I believe that anything that has been said by our deployees who were officially deployed by the ANC over the last weekend to address cadres assemblies and cadres forums have spoken based on the hymn book of the ANC on this matter. So I would stand by everything that has been said by those comrades, because that is exactly not a question of hanging somebody's dirty linen in public. It's a thing of reminding South Africans that here we come as the ANC. We are saying that the ANC remains intact. Anyone that goes and speak against the ANC when they decide to belong to two parties, namely the ANC and another party, that is not in line with the constitution of the ANC. So I would not respond on matters raised by Ukhabazela. I'm sure you should direct those questions to him.
Thank you very much to the ANC spokesperson. They're essentially saying that their main focus today is that report of the Secretary General to the NEC, but also the main issue that South Africans are eagerly waiting for is that International Court of Justice judgment on South Africa's case against the country of Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. That will be delivered at 2 o'clock. The President of the country and the President of the ANC, along with the National Executive Committee, will be watching that particular judgment at 2 o'clock. And ourselves, as the media fraternity, we will get that opportunity to watch that alongside them as well. And South Africans will have an opportunity, once that judgment is delivered, to see the immediate reaction of the head of state, President Cyril Ramaphosa. But obviously, he will be here in his capacity as the President of the African National Congress. And just maybe, we may get a response from the union buildings, either from Mr. Vincent Magwenya, the spokesperson, or from the number one citizen himself, should he deem fit to respond on that particular judgment today or in the days to come.